but
Hold on.
good morning, Mother from Chicago and Los Angeles.
Hi.
You got your 3 girls here, and we wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day and tell you some stories from the past. So the first thing is we're going to wish you a happy Mother's Day. Here we go. Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you. And many more.
We love you.
So I guess we're just going to go around and tell some short stories. I'll start with one of my favorites. When we went to Israel for Yale's bar mitzvah. And the first day we had our guide named Tzvi like the Hebrew name. And we were with him all day. And the next morning you got into the van and you said, "Good morning, Steve." You couldn't remember his name from the day before because it was kind of a Hebrew name, but it was funny and I still remember it. So that's my first story.
Okay, and mine, we'll go in order of age, I guess, decreasing age. When I was a young girl and I had a tummy ache, Mother, you rubbed my tummy with Vaseline, not Vaseline, but hand cream, and you made it all better. And all these years later, with all my stomach issues, I wish you could still do that and make it all better.
Oh, okay. So I'll start with when I was a baby or kid. Mother, you were convinced that putting pennies in my cheeks would give me dimples, but I already have dimples, so I don't know what that was about. And I'm sure it wasn't from the pennies.
I got 1 second, guys. I'll be right back.
Yep.
You done? Fine.
Well, I'll tell another real quick one. Mom, I don't know if you remember, and I don't really know why you did this, but you used to take your eyelash and brush it on my cheek. I really don't know why. But
Good morning, Jack.
Yeah, he was halfway down the stairs. That's why I went to get him, screaming.
Okay, my next story is not so much a story, but a great memory. When you and Yale and I went to New Orleans, and we had so much fun. And it was the first time you really spent time with Yale, so you really got to know him a little bit. And we went to all this music and all these museums. And the one night you and I were going to go to a bar where a guy was singing. And we decided, we went to a restaurant a couple of doors down, and Yale ate dinner with us. And then he was going to go to the French Quarter and hang out, which is what he did at night. And he met people. He's so social. But I asked him if he wanted to come to the bar for one set, and he did. And it was a place where there were no chairs, but somebody gave you a place to sit, like a stool. And Yale got a beer, and he was up and talking to people, and you kept talking about how he was shuckling because he was dancing to the music. And we had just a great time. We went to the Museum of the Mardi Gras, and fabulous food, which was great for Yale because he's such a foodie. And we just had a wonderful, wonderful trip. So I wanted to just remind you of that one. Mara?
Okay.
Mara's up.
Travel. Oh, I think I'm next. New York, Mother, when I had my 50th birthday, we went to New York, and I don't know if you remember this, but first of all, we saw Paul McCartney. You agreed to come to Madison Square Garden, 10th row or so, to see Paul McCartney with me. And we also saw 3 Broadway shows in one day. You never stop. Nobody can keep up with you.
He never stops.
It was a wonderful time. Thank you very much.
I guess
3 shows in one day. I don't think I ever heard that one.
I think I'm up next. No, that's crazy. Well, since you're on New York, I remember I was a little girl and Daddy hated New York. So Mom brought me and she and one of the vendors wanted to have a drink. So they went to a bar and had a drink. Mom, you and this vendor, I don't know who it was. I was little, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe really young. And because I was so young, I was underage, and you left me on a bar stool outside on the sidewalk. Would never happen today, but I actually do remember that. And along the same lines of Lakeshore, Rena reminded me that I have to tell the story. Daddy, when he built his new cabinets, made them a certain height. I know you remember, Mom. Perfect for you to rest your big boobs on, because Daddy loved your boobs.
I love that story.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay, so as long as we're on New York and bar stools, one time you and Sonny and I were in New York and we were going to a show. I don't remember what it was, but we were going to the theater and we didn't feel like dinner. So we went to a nearby restaurant and we were sitting at the bar, and it was Sonny and me and you. And next to you was a man who was drinking, of course. So you asked him what he was drinking, and he said a Manhattan. And you said, oh, that was my husband's favorite drink. And he was on his third or fourth Manhattan. And so what he did was he wound up pouring his entire drink in your glass and insisting that you drink it. I think that's because of your eyes, because everyone always still comments on your eyes, your beautiful eyes.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to move on to Las Vegas. Mother, there's no specific story there other than the fact that we had such a great time there. And wherever I went with you shopping, we shopped and shopped, and I always found things. You were my good luck charm. And the other thing I remember is you agreeing to split the gelato there in the middle of Caesar's Palace shopping. There's the best gelato I've ever had in my life. And you and I always go there and share it.
Oh gosh, there's so many travel stories, Mom. All the jewelry shows in Europe and every year in Vegas. I don't know which, I don't have a favorite, but I remember my first trip to Europe, and I was, I think, 21. I was living in California, maybe 20, and I met you and Daddy there. And Daddy introduced me to Joelle in Nice, and Joelle took me out every night. But in Europe, they don't party until 11 at night. So the doorman always had to let me in at 5 a.m. And, good morning, Miss Wish, and, that kind of thing. And I'd come upstairs and you'd get up, because you never really slept anyway. And you'd get up and we'd sit on the bathroom floor, the cold marble floor, and I'd tell you all about my night, and we'd giggle and giggle and giggle. But then there's also, all the Las Vegas trips. You were always looking for the perfect earring, and I was always looking for the big splashy ring. And we were the dynamic duo, and we still are. Okay. I think that's all I've got, other than I love you.
Well, I'll tell 2 quick Chicago stories, because Mom, you used to come here probably 4 times a year. And the year that both Hallie and Yale got married, you were here 6 times a year. 2 weddings, maybe 2 showers, Rosh Hashanah and Passover. But as you know, every time you were here, we went and we did special things. And one night we were going to the theater, and we were at a restaurant downtown, and a man kept staring at you and staring at you. Finally, he came over to the table, and he said, "Are you Miss Brown?" And we couldn't figure out what he meant. And then we realized he meant Helen Gurley Brown, who was the editor of Cosmo. And she was the woman who kind of popularized kind of free love and able to talk, the ability to talk about women and sex. So when I went later and I looked up her picture, you kind of do look like her. So that was pretty funny. And then my other Chicago story is when Howard and Jerry, Sonny's brother and his wife, turned 70, and their children gave them a party. You, of course, were in town. And when we went to leave the party, and Sonny had to pick up the car from the valet, he took a long time. So I left you sitting at a table and I went outside to check on him. I was not gone 3 minutes and I came back and there was this man about 45 holding your arm like this at the table. There is something about you that has always attracted men and women. And
Her eyes. It's her eyes.
not
And she
just
acts
her
like
eyes.
she's shy. And no.
Here's a story I love about back to New York. Mother didn't realize that Uncle Harry was going to be in New York at the same time she was, and he ran into her on the street and said to his friends, "Honest fella, she's my sister."
That's funny.
Run around.
So those are a few little memories for you for Mother's Day.
I've got one more little funny in Akron because we really didn't talk about Akron, right? We talked about all our travels and Akron was a big one. And gosh, Mom, you were another parent to my kids, which is just amazing. I remember you were driving through San Juan Parkway, always a lot of police there, and you got pulled over and you told the policeman, "Oh, I own Lakeshore Jewelers. You have to come shopping, yada, yada, yada." He let you off, didn't give you a ticket. A week later, you got pulled over at the same spot by the same policeman, but you didn't realize it was the same policeman. And you said the same spiel. And he said to you, "Mrs. Wish, you gave me that story last week and you got the ticket." Yeah. Lots of great Akron stories.
Lots of great memories.
Yeah.
For sure. Sure.
So it is, what is it? It's May 6th today. I know I'll be there in a couple of weeks. We're continuing to alternate in our visits. So
I think it's my turn. I have to go. I'm working on it.
I'll be there soon too. Haven't figured it out when.
Okay. We love you. Happy
love
Mother's
you.
Day.
Hey, Mother.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Mwah.
Wait, new news.
Love and cushes.
Cushes.
Love and new news.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Love you.